G'day guys, Clint here from waterpro.com.au, and I'm going to put together a quick video now on how to get a professional quality irrigation system designed and quoted in 5 simple steps, free of charge. So the first step in getting an irrigation design done by Waterpro is to get a flow test done. Now, the most simple way to do that is with a bucket and a timer and a water source. So I'm going to quickly show you that, and then I'll show you the more complicated way. We can deal with just a bucket test, flow test, that's fine. If you can get us a pressure test with an actual pressure gauge, that's even better. So to perform a bucket test, you need a bucket, a timer, and a tap. We've got a 10-litre bucket here. I'm using my stopwatch on my timer. This can get a bit messy, so I'm going to open the tap right up, then shove the bucket underneath there, and then I'm going to time it. So that was 31.8 seconds. It's very close to very close to 20 litres a minute, being that it's a 10-litre bucket, close to 30 seconds. So once you've done that, write your number down and then go on to step number 2, which is doing an irrigation plan. I've got here a pressure versus flow pressure test kit and a spanner and some multi-grips. I'm going to fit this to the tap and just show you how it works and give you an understanding of how accurate it is and how that helps with our irrigation design. So in step 1 of getting an irrigation design done by Waterpro, you can use the bucket, or even better, use a test kit like this, and then you can get that information across to Waterpro. So there's a 20 by 25 bush there. Now what I've got here is a couple of tablet manifold fittings. They're a mains pressure barrel union fitting. Makes it really easy to swivel this part on. Then I've got a pressure gauge fitted to a brass tee, and then I've got a brass nipple and a brass ball valve. Now, this on its own can test the static pressure, which is the pressure when flow's not moving. So you've got static and dynamic pressures. The static pressure is no movement, and the dynamic pressure is at flow. So we're going to fit this. I'm then going to add a digital pressure gauge, a digital flow meter to the outlet, and then we'll be able to measure that flow. All right. So that's that. Now that ball valve's off, so we could turn this water on now, and that's going to hold water in there. The gauge has obviously moved the needle up to 800 kPa. Now this is a digital flow meter that we're going to attach to the ball valve. It measures the total flow that's gone through the meter and the flow real time. So I'll fit that. Hopefully we've got enough room here. We do not. So I'm just going to take the suction hose. This hose isn't really necessary for what we're doing, but it's going to help keep the water away from my feet. So we use this test gauge when we do commercial water flow tests. So we have commercial clients that do work, say councils, local government, schools, that want us to perform the pressure versus flow test for them so that we can use it for the irrigation design. When we're doing that, we do 3 or 4 separate dynamic flows. So we'll get the flow and pressure test at 200, 300 and 400 kPa depending on the site. I'm going to try and replicate that today and not get wet. Now when we did the bucket test here, we were getting a 10-litre bucket filling up in 31.8 seconds. Now, it'll be interesting to see how much difference this is, and if I'm going to get wet. So there's a lot of weight on this tap. As you can see, it's starting to want to fall down, so I'm going to support it while we're doing it. So the tap's on. Now, we can start by opening this ball valve all the way, and you start to get a flow in litres per minute coming through here. Now, it's fluctuating between 22 and 21 litres, so 21 and 22 litres a minute. I'd prefer that we use the lower number, and that's at open flow. Now, we filled up that bucket, a 10-litre bucket, in just over 30 seconds, which obviously multiplied out means that we're going to get close to 20 litres a minute or just under. It just shows you how much more accurate this is to me trying to fill up a bucket and all the water turbulent on the surface, etc. Now, that's at 0 kPa, so we'll note that we're getting, say, 21 litres a minute at 0 kPa, and my feet are getting saturated. I'm going to close this ball valve slowly until we start to see the pressure change on the gauge. So the first point is, so we've got 400, 300, 200, So that's 100. Come on, 200. So you're just adjusting this gauge until you get to 200 kPa. So that's 453, 352. So that's 200 kPa. And the gauge is giving us 19.8 litres a minute. So we had 0 at 21, 200 kPa is 19.8. Now if we go up to 300 kPa, the flow hasn't changed, so 19.8. 400 kPa, it started moving again, but it's still at 19.8. So then I'll close that off and the static will go back up. So the static sits at about 4, 5, say 650. With this, when we first put this on, I didn't have flow going through it, and you can actually spike these gauges by doing that, and you'll see the gauge moves all the way up to 1200. It's really important to just let it close really slowly and let the actual static pressure build up very, I guess, normally, if that makes sense. So 650 kPa static, 21 litres a minute at 0 kPa, and then 19.8 for pretty much the rest of them. Now, if this was a higher flow and a higher pressure, we'd start to see a bit more of a curve. It seems quite a straight line. So from Waterpro's standpoint, you could come into our shop and say we've got 21 litres a minute and we've got 650 kPa static pressure, and that's enough for us. The more you can give us, the better your design's going to get. Step 2 of getting an irrigation design done by waterpro.com.au is producing a scaled diagram of the area that you want to water and then getting it to Waterpro. Now, we've got some plans here that people have done. These are done by hand on paper, and this has been supplied digitally. It doesn't matter how you get it to us. The quality of the plan will dictate the quality of the result, and the scale is really important. So most of the time, 1 centimetre is 1 metre, which most people will understand. You can draw it up on these plans, or you can download the planner that we've got on our website with a lot of handy tips, and that's available. I've linked that up in the comments. You get that plan completed. Our guys then design the irrigation system using the data that's available from the manufacturers. This is really important. This is why we're doing the pressure versus flow test. It enables the guys to ensure that they're putting the correct number of sprinklers on a valve so that you're not wasting money on too many valves and you're not taking too long to water a lawn area. So step 3 of getting an irrigation design done by Waterpro is to submit that information to the team either by emailing it to quotes@waterpro.com.au or bringing it into the shop. So you can drop it off here at 20 King William Street, Kent Town, 5.5 days a week. Give the team about 5 business days to get that design and quote done. They'll email it to you. Once you've received the email, you can peruse that email and take your time. We're not a pressure business. We're not going to ring you and harass you. So step 4 is making a decision. Now, the quotes that we supply you are no obligation, so you can do what you want with them. One key thing to be aware of is that we don't supply the irrigation design to the system unless you purchase the system. If you are interested in buying the system, you can accept that quote over the internet and pay for it using PayPal or Visa, and we can ship that to your door. Alternatively, you can come into the store and the guys can go through the system face to face, explain what you're looking at buying, pack the order up, and you can head out the door. Step 5, which is the most important part, is that we are here to support you through that install. We supply you with technical data, we supply you with follow-up if you need to talk to us over the phone. That was not planned. You can ring us or via email or come into the store. Our customer service and support is really important to us, so we don't want to just leave you hanging. In 5 simple steps, you can get an irrigation design done by Waterpro and have it shipped to your door with full support from our team across the country, and know that you're buying professional quality brands, putting them in the ground, and they're going to last you 15 or 20 years.